The espresso was getting cold. Mark checked his watch for the third time in 5 minutes, already rehearsing his exit strategy. Café Lumiere hummed with the quiet warmth of couples and scattered conversations. Jazz notes drifting through air, thick with roasted coffee beans and cinnamon. He shouldn't have come. Jake's voice echoed in his head. She's not your type, but trust me on this one. Translation, she was plain, unremarkable, the kind of woman. Mark would swipe past without a second thought. The door chimed. Mark glanced up and froze. She moved through the cafe like water, finding its path. Auburn hair catching the amber light. A simple blue dress that somehow made every other woman in the room fade to background noise. Her eyes scanned the space with quiet confidence until they landed on him. His pulse kicked. Mark. Her voice was silk over gravel. He stood too quickly, nearly knocking over his cup. Sarah, nice to finally meet you. She extended her hand. Her grip was firm, warm. Something sparked in her smile, mischievous and knowing. They sat. Mark's mind scrambled to recalibrate everything Jake had told him. Jake made me sound like a disaster, didn't he? Sarah leaned back, amusement dancing in her eyes. Mark's throat tightened. He said you were different. Different. She laughed, the sound unguarded and genuine. That's code for not hot enough for you. Heat crawled up his neck. I didn't mean it like that. Relax. She stirred her latte slowly, never breaking eye contact. I get it. You came here with low expectations? It's actually refreshing. No pretense. They talked. Minutes dissolved into an hour. Sarah was sharp, cutting through his polished responses with questions that made him think. She spoke about her work in publishing with a passion that made editing manuscripts sound like archaeology, uncovering hidden treasures and forgotten words. So why finance? She asked. Safe. Predictable. Everything my childhood wasn't. The words slipped out before he could stop them. Sarah tilted her head. We all run from something. What are you running from? Her smile faltered for half a second. Something dark flickered behind her eyes, then vanished. Who says I'm running? The air shifted. Mark felt it, a sudden weight pressing against the warmth between them. Before he could respond, Sarah's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, and her face went pale, all color draining in an instant. I have to go, she stood abruptly, gathering her coat with trembling hands. Wait, did I say something wrong? No, you're perfect. That's the problem. Her voice cracked on the last word. Sarah, what's going on? She looked at him then, really looked at him, and he saw it. Fear, raw and real. I shouldn't have come tonight. This was a mistake. She turned toward the door. Will I see you again? Sarah stopped. Her shoulders rose and fell with a deep breath. When she looked back, tears rimmed her eyes. You shouldn't want to. Then she was gone, disappearing into the New York night, leaving Mark alone with his cold espresso and 100 unanswered questions. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Stay away from Sarah Miller. This is your only warning. Mark's blood turned to ice. 3 days. Mark had stared at that text message for 3 days, the words burning into his retinas every time he closed his eyes. He should have listened. Should have deleted Sarah's number and moved on with his predictable, safe life. Instead, he found himself standing outside Silverline Publishing at 6 p.m. on a Thursday, coffee in each hand, watching employees stream through the glass doors. Then he saw her. Same blue dress, different demons. Mark. Sarah froze on the sidewalk, shock rippling across her face. What are you doing here? I brought coffee. Thought we could talk? You need to leave. Her eyes darted around the street, searching shadows. Right now. Not until you tell me what's going on. Who sent me that text? Sarah grabbed his arm, pulling him into a nearby alley. The sudden darkness swallowed them, the sounds of traffic fading to a distant hum. You shouldn't have come. Her voice shook. You have no idea what you've walked into. Then tell me. She closed her eyes, a war playing out behind her eyelids. When she opened them again, the mask had fallen away. All that remained was exhaustion and something that looked like grief. I'm not who you think I am. Who are you then? Someone who shouldn't exist anymore. She took a shuddering breath. 6 months ago, I witnessed something I shouldn't have. A murder. Corporate espionage gone wrong. The man I saw kill someone? He works for one of the most powerful venture capital firms in the city. Mark's stomach dropped. Venture capital. My world. Your world, she echoed. The FBI put me in witness protection. New name, new job, new life. I'm supposed to testify in 3 weeks. And the blind date? Emily, my handler, thought I needed normalcy. One night of pretending to be a regular person, tears tracked down her cheeks. She set it up through Jake, who has no idea who I really am. I thought one coffee couldn't hurt, but someone found out. They're always watching. And now they know about you. Her hand found his chest, fingers curling into his shirt. This is why you have to disappear. Forget you ever met me. They'll kill you just for being a loose end. Mark's mind raced. Everything clicked into place. The fear in her eyes, the abrupt exit, the warning text. Come with me, he said. What? Right now. We leave the city. I have a cabin upstate. No one knows about it. You can hide there until the trial. Mark, you don't understand. These people have resources, connections, money. So do I. He cupped her face, forcing her to meet his eyes. I'm not leaving you alone in this. Why? Her voice broke. You don't even know me. I know enough. For a moment, they stood frozen in that alley, the city breathing around them. 2 strangers on the edge of a cliff. Then Sarah's phone rang. She answered, listened, and the color drained from her face. They found Emily. She's dead. The words hit like a physical blow. Mark watched Sarah crumble, catching her before she fell. We run, he whispered into her hair. Right now. We run. They ran through side streets and back alleys, to Mark's apartment where he grabbed cash and his laptop, then to his car parked 2 blocks away. Sarah didn't speak, moving on autopilot. Shock painted across her features, an hour outside the city. On a dark highway cutting through October woods, Sarah finally broke her silence. Why are you doing this? Mark kept his eyes on the road. Maybe I needed someone to save. Maybe I'm tired of my safe, predictable life. Or maybe I just know that letting you face this alone would haunt me forever. You're going to regret this. Probably. The cabin appeared through the trees. A small structure surrounded by silence and shadows. Mark killed the engine, and they sat in the sudden quiet. I need to tell you something, Sarah said, her voice barely above a whisper. What? She turned to face him, and in the dashboard light, he saw something new in her expression. Something that looked like shame? The man I saw commit murder? His name is David Chin. The name hit Mark like a bullet. No, his hands tightened on the steering wheel. No, that's impossible. You know him. He's my business partner. We've been working together for 5 years. David is the one who introduced me to Jake. David is the reason I was on that blind date. The pieces fell into place with sickening clarity. Sarah's face crumbled. Oh God, Mark, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. Mark wasn't listening. His mind spun through every conversation, every deal, every moment. He'd trusted David Chen with his life. He set this up, Mark breathed. The whole thing. He wanted to see if you'd recognize him through me. He was testing you, and now he knows I told you. Sarah's voice was hollow. We just painted targets on both our backs. Mark's phone buzzed. A text from David. Cabin looks cozy. We should talk about your new friend. They weren't safe. They'd never been safe. The cabin's single light bulb cast long shadows across the wooden walls. Mark stood at the window, watching the tree line, a phone clutched in his white-knuckled grip. Sarah paced behind him, arms wrapped around herself. We need to leave now. Where? Mark's voice was hollow. He knows about this place. He probably knows about every place. Then we go to the FBI. We tell them everything. With what proof? Emily's dead. It's your word against one of the most connected men in New York finance. He turned to face her. And now I'm complicit. I helped a witness flee protection. I never asked you to. No. You just looked at me with those eyes and I couldn't walk away. The words hung between them, charged with everything they hadn't said. Sarah's expression softened. Mark, how long have we known each other? For days. And I've already destroyed my life for you. You should hate me. I should. He crossed the distance between them in 3 strides. But I don't. Their lips met in desperation, hands grasping, pulling closer. The kiss tasted like fear and adrenaline, and something neither of them dared name. When they broke apart, both were breathing hard. Right. This is insane, Sarah whispered. Everything about this is insane. A car engine rumbled in the distance. They both froze. Mark killed the light and pulled Sarah away from the windows. They crouched in the darkness, hearts hammering in sync. Through the gap in the curtains, headlights swept across the clearing. 1 car. Then another. Back door, Mark breathed. They moved in silence, years of instinct taking over. Mark grabbed his laptop and the cash, while Sarah found a coat. They slipped out through the kitchen into the cold October night. The forest swallowed them whole. Branches clawed at their clothes. Frost crunched under their feet. Behind them, voices shouted. Beams of light cut through the trees. They ran until their lungs burned, until the voices faded. Until they found themselves on a service road with nothing but darkness in every direction. There, Sorrel pointed to a truck stop, glowing in the distance. We can blend in, maybe catch a ride. Inside the fluorescent-lit diner, they collapsed into a corner booth. A waitress, with tired eyes, brought coffee without being asked. Mark's hand shook as he lifted the cup. I need to call someone, Sarah said. Someone who can help us. Someone David doesn't know about. What? She stepped outside to make the call. Mark watched through the window as she spoke urgently into her phone. Something in her posture made his stomach tighten. When she returned, her expression was carefully neutral. Well, he's coming. We wait here. Who's coming, Sarah? Someone from my old life? Before all of this, an hour crawled by. Then 2. Mark's exhaustion was turning the world fuzzy at the edges. When a black SUV pulled into the parking lot, a man stepped out. Tall, expensive suit, moving with military precision. He had Sarah's eyes. Your brother. Mark guessed. Sarah nodded, something unreadable crossing her face. Adam. They met at the door. Adam's gaze swept over Mark with cold assessment before landing on Sarah. You've made quite a mess, little sister. Can you help us or not? Get in the car. Both of you. They drove in silence, Adam's hands steady on the wheel, his expression carved from stone. Mark tried to catch Sarah's eye, but she stared out the window, lost in thought. Where are we going? Mark finally asked. Somewhere safe, Adam replied. Somewhere even David Chen can't reach. They pulled up to a warehouse on the outskirts of the city, the kind of place where deals went bad and bodies disappeared. Mark's instincts screamed danger. Sarah, he said quietly. Something's wrong. It's okay. But her voice wavered. Inside, the warehouse was empty, except for a table and 3 chairs arranged under a single hanging light. Adam gestured for them to sit. So, Adam said, leaning against the table. You're the one who's been helping my sister? Trying to keep her alive? Noble. Adam's smile didn't reach his eyes. But unnecessary. What does that mean? Adam pulled out his phone, typed something, and showed Sarah the screen. Her face went white. Oh, she whispered. Adam, please, what's going on? Mark demanded. Adam turned the phone toward him. A bank transfer. $5 million. Sender, David Chen. Recipient, Adam Miller. The world tilted. You sold us out, Mark breathed. I sold her out, Adam corrected. You're just collateral damage. Nothing personal. Sarah lunged at her brother, but he caught her wrist easily. You were always too soft, Sarah. Too emotional. This whole witness protection fantasy. It was never going to work. David knew exactly where you were the entire time. He just needed you to lead him to something bigger. To what? Sarah's voice cracked. Adam looked at Mark. To the person who's been investigating his operation from the inside. To the finance expert who's been quietly building a case. To Mark Evans. Words took a moment to land. When they did, Sarah turned to Mark, horror dawning across her features. "You," she whispered. "This whole time, you were investigating David." Mark's silence was answer enough. "The blind date," Sarah continued, pieces clicking together. "Jake works for the FBI. He set us up. You needed a witness, and I needed protection. We were using each other, Sarah, I can explain. You lied to me, so did you." Betrayal hung between them, sharp and suffocating. Adam laughed, the sound echoing off concrete walls. "Beautiful, isn't it? David played you both. Now he gets to tie up two loose ends at once." He pulled out a gun. Nothing personal, just business. Mark's mind raced through options, exits, anything. But they were trapped, betrayed on all sides, with nowhere left to run. Then Sarah did something Mark would never forget. She stepped between him and the gun. "If you're going to shoot someone, brother, shoot me first." "Sarah." "No." Mark grabbed her arm. She didn't move. "I'm the witness. I'm the one David wants dead. Let Mark go." Touching. Adam cocked the gun. But stupid. The door exploded inward. Glass shattered. Smoke grenades hit the floor, filling the warehouse with white fog. Through the chaos, Mark heard voices, commands, federal agents. Adam fired blindly. Sarah screamed. Mark pulled her down, covering her body with his, as bullets tore through the air above them. When the smoke cleared, Adam was on the ground in handcuffs. Jake stood in the doorway with a tactical team behind him, gun drawn. Expression grim. "You're safe now," Jake said. But as Mark looked at Sarah, saw the betrayal and hurt and fear in her eyes. He knew nothing would ever be safe again. Not between them. Not after this, the FBI. Safe house smelled like stale coffee and broken promises. Sarah sat on a government-issued couch, wrapped in a blanket that couldn't touch the cold inside her bones. Through the window, the city glittered with lights that felt like they belonged to another world. Mark stood in the doorway, neither in nor out, caught in the same limbo they'd been trapped in for the past 3 days. "You should rest," he said. "You should leave." Her voice was empty. "That's what you want, isn't it? You got what you needed. Your case against David is airtight now. That's not fair." "But fair." She laughed, the sound bitter. "You let me fall for you? You let me believe you were just some guy who showed up to save me. And the whole time you were using me to get to David, it started that way." Mark stepped into the room. "But it stopped being about the case the moment you walked into that cafe. How am I supposed to believe anything you say?" "You can't." He sat across from her, close enough to touch, but keeping the distance she needed. "Just like I can't really believe you weren't working some angle of your own." She flinched. "I never lied about my feelings. Neither did I." They sat in silence, the weight of everything unsaid pressing down like a physical force. Jake entered with 2 folders, his expression apologetic. "We need to talk about next steps. Testify. David goes to prison. I disappear again." Sarah's tone was mechanical. "Simple. It's not that simple." Jake set the folders on the coffee table. "We have a problem. David's legal team is arguing entrapment. They're claiming Mark used his relationship with you to manufacture evidence." "That's insane," Mark said. "Maybe, but they have emails. Messages between you and Jake from before the blind date. They're painting you as someone who deliberately seduced a vulnerable witness to strengthen your case." Sarah's face went pale. "Did you? Before you met me, were you planning to get close to me?" Mark's hesitation was a heartbeat too long. "Oh, God." She stood, backing away from him. "You were..." "Sarah, listen to me. Yes, the initial plan was to approach you, but I never expected you to be you. I never expected any of this. Doesn't change what you did." Jake cleared his throat. "There's more. If David's team succeeds with the entrapment defense, they're going to destroy both of you in court. They'll make Sarah look like an accomplice, Mark like a corrupt agent. You'll both end up in prison alongside David. So what do we do? Mark asked. Jake opened the first folder. Option 1. We separate you. Sarah testifies, goes into permanent witness protection. Mark, you disappear from the case entirely. We build our prosecution without the connection between you two. And if we do that, does the case still hold? Sarah asked. Maybe. But it's weaker without Mark's inside knowledge of David's operations. What's option 2? Mark's jaw tightened. Jake opened the second folder. You lean into it. You get married? The words detonated in the silence. Excuse me? Sarah whispered. Spousal privilege. If you're married, they can't force you to testify against each other. It eliminates the entrapment angle because spouses can entrap each other legally. It actually strengthens our case. That's insane, Mark said. That's strategy. Jake's expression was apologetic. Look, I'm not saying you have to stay married. After the trial, you annul it. You go your separate ways. But for the next 3 months, you need to be the most convincing married couple the jury has ever seen. Sarah laughed, a sound on the edge of hysteria. You want us to fake a marriage? To lie under oath about our relationship when lies are what got us here in the first place. I want you both to survive this. Jake's voice softened. David has already put a price on your heads. The only way you're safe is if he's behind bars. And the only way that happens is if you present a united front. Mark looked at Sarah. She looked back. All the hurt and betrayal and confusion swirled between them like smoke. I can't ask you to do this, Mark said. You're not asking. He is, she gestured to Jake, and he's right. This is survival. Nothing more, Sarah? Don't. Wait. She held up a hand. Don't make this about feelings or what we had. That's done. This is just strategy. A transaction. I testify, you provide evidence. We get David convicted, and then we never see each other again. The words cut deeper than any blade. Jake stood. I'll give you two some time to decide. But I need an answer by morning. David's trial starts in 3 weeks. After he left, the silence stretched like a chasm. Do you love me? Sarah's question came out of nowhere. Did you ever, or was it all just part of the job? Mark met her gaze, refusing to look away even as the truth burned his throat. I love you. I have since that first night. Every moment since has been real, even the ones built on lies. How can I believe you? You can't. He moved to her, close enough to see the tears threatening to spill. Just like I can't prove it. All I can do is make you a promise. I will keep you alive. I will make sure David pays for what he did. And when this is over, I will let you go, even if it destroys me. A tear tracked down her cheek. And if I don't want you to let go, then you'd be making the biggest mistake of your life. Maybe I want to make that mistake. They stood on a knife's edge, the future balanced on a word, a touch, a choice. Sarah's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, and her expression shifted to pure terror. What? Mark grabbed her arm. She showed him the message. Photo. Her mother, sitting in her living room, unaware of the camera capturing her through the window. The text beneath it read, Choose wisely. The wedding or the funeral? What? Mark's blood turned to ice. David, he's threatening my mother. Sarah's voice shook. He knows where she is. He'll kill her if I don't do exactly what he wants. Oh, what does he want? Another message arrived. Testify against Mark. Say he orchestrated everything. Say he's the real killer. Do this, and your mother lives. Refuse, and I'll make sure you watch her die before I kill you both. Sarah looked at Mark, anguish written across every feature. He's giving me a choice. Your life or hers, then there's no choice. Mark's voice was steady, even as his world crumbled. You save your mother, Mark. No, Sarah, listen to me. You testify against me. You do whatever David wants. Your mother lives, you live. That's all that matters. They'll put you in prison for life for a murder you didn't commit. I know, I can't let you do that. Mark cupped her face, forcing her to see the truth in his eyes. Yes, you can. Because that's what love is. It's sacrifice. It's the hard choice. It's giving up everything for the person who matters most. You matter most, she whispered. No, I'm already lost. But you can still be saved. He kissed her forehead, gentle and final. This is my choice, Sarah. Let me make it. She collapsed against him, sobs racking her body. Mark held her, memorizing the feel of her in his arms. Knowing it would be the last time. I hate you for this. She cried into his chest. I know, I'll never forgive you. Good, outside. Dawn began to break over the city, painting the sky in shades of blood and gold. Inside the safe house, two people held each other in the growing light, knowing that by nightfall, one of them would be wearing handcuffs, and the other would be left with nothing but the weight of a sacrifice she never asked for. The courtroom smelled like old wood and desperation. Sarah sat in the witness box, hands folded in her lap, eyes fixed on a spot somewhere above the jury's heads. Anywhere but at Mark, who sat at the defendant's table in a pressed suit. Looking like a stranger, David Chen watched from the gallery, a slight smile playing at his lips. Miss Miller, the prosecutor began, can you tell us about your relationship with the defendant? Sarah's voice was steady, rehearsed. Mark Evans approached me 6 months ago. He said he was investigating David Chen and needed my testimony. He orchestrated the blind date. He made me trust him. And what happened after the blind date? He convinced me to go on the run with him. He said we weren't safe, that David would kill us both. But it was all a manipulation. He needed me isolated, dependent on him, so I would do exactly what he wanted. Mark's lawyer stood. Objection. Speculation. Sustained. The prosecutor continued. Did Mr. Evans ever discuss his plan to frame David Chen? This was the moment. The lie that would save her mother and damn the man she loved. Sarah opened her mouth to speak and stopped. Through the courtroom window, she could see the city stretching into forever. The same city where a blind date had changed everything, where two broken people had found each other in the chaos, where Mark had been willing to sacrifice his freedom for her mother's life. Miss Miller? The judge prompted. Sarah looked at Mark for the first time. Really looked at him. Saw the resignation in his eyes. The peace he'd made with his choice, and she knew she couldn't do it. No, she said quietly. The courtroom stirred. I'm sorry, what? The prosecutor asked. No, Mark didn't frame anyone. She turned to face the jury. Everything I just said was a lie. David Chen threatened to kill my mother if I didn't testify against Mark. But the truth is, Mark never manipulated me. He saved me. Multiple times. And yes, he was investigating David. But David is the killer. David is the one who murdered Jonathan Price in cold blood. I saw it happen. And I won't let an innocent man go to prison to protect the guilty one. The courtroom exploded. The judge's gavel cracked like thunder. David Chen's face twisted with rage as federal agents moved toward him. Mark stared at Sarah. Horror and love and disbelief warring across his features. The prosecutor leaned in. Miss Miller, are you aware of what you've just done? Your mother ... is already safe. Jake's voice cut through the chaos. He strode into the courtroom with 2 agents flanking him. We picked her up an hour ago. She's in protective custody. Relief crashed through Sarah like a wave. And we have this. Jake held up a phone. David was stupid enough to send his threats from his personal device. We've got everything. The threats, the payoffs to Adam Miller, communications with his hired muscle. It's over. David Chen was surrounded by agents, handcuffs clicking into place. As they let him pass Sarah, he leaned close enough to whisper, You'll regret this. No, she replied. I really won't. The trial continued for 3 more weeks. Sarah testified to everything she'd seen. Mark provided the financial evidence that traced David's criminal enterprise back years. Together, their testimonies built an unshakable case. David Chen was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Adam Miller took a plea deal in exchange for his testimony. 5 years in a minimum security facility, and Sarah and Mark stood on the courthouse steps in the autumn sunlight. Suddenly free, but uncertain what freedom meant. "Your mother's waiting for you," Mark said. Jake arranged transport to the safe house. "Come with me." "Sarah, I know what you're going to say. That we're too broken. That we've hurt each other too much. That the smart thing is to walk away clean." She stepped closer, close enough to feel the warmth radiating from him. "But I'm tired of smart choices. I'm tired of safe. Every moment with you has been dangerous and messy and impossible. And I want more of them. You deserve better than me. I deserve you. Scars and all." She took his hand. "We both played roles. We both lied. But somewhere in all that deception, we found something real. Something worth fighting for. It won't be easy. Nothing worth keeping ever is." Mark looked at their intertwined hands, then up at her face, where hope was beginning to bloom like spring after a long winter.
"I'll mess this up,"
he warned. "I'll mess it up worse." She promised. "We'll probably destroy each other. Probably." She smiled, the first real smile in weeks. "But at least we'll do it together." He kissed her then, there on the courthouse steps with the whole world watching. It wasn't a fairy tale ending. It was messy and complicated and uncertain. It was two damaged people choosing each other despite every reason not to. It was perfectly, impossibly real. 6 months later, they stood on a beach in Maine, far from the city that had brought them together. Sarah's mother stood beside them, tears streaming down her face. Jake served as Mark's best man. "You take this woman?" the officiant asked. "To have and to hold in truth and in honesty for as long as you both shall live?" Mark looked at Sarah, seeing all the ways they'd broken each other and all the ways they'd healed. "I do. And do you take this man?" "I do," Sarah said before he could finish. They exchanged rings that neither of them had ever expected to wear. When they kissed, it tasted like salt air and second chances. That night, in a small cottage overlooking the ocean, Sarah lay with her head on Mark's chest. "Listening to his heartbeat, do you think we'll make it?" she asked honestly. "I have no idea. We're a disaster waiting to happen." "Good." She tilted her face up to kiss him. "I wouldn't want it any other way." Outside, waves crashed against the shore. Inside, two people who had found each other in the darkness held on tight, knowing the morning would bring new challenges, new struggles, new reasons to give up, but also knowing they wouldn't. Because some love stories don't end with happily ever after. They end with a choice made every single day. To keep choosing each other despite the odds, and that was enough. Mark pulled Sarah closer, breathing in the scent of her hair, feeling the solid weight of her against him. "I love you," he whispered into the darkness. "I know," she whispered back. "I love you too." And in that moment, in that small cottage by the sea, two broken souls finally found what they'd been searching for all along. Not perfection, not safety, just each other. And that was everything. The end.